Snowflakes swirl in city glow. Lanterns set the nights all aglow. Neighbors cheer and bells will ring. With each smile, new hope they bring. Count the stars and let them shine. Raise your glass, it's nearly time. In the air, love symphony, yours and mine. This jubilee.
Thank you for joining us for the Spirit of Christmas.
And with that, they
Heartwarming
stood in
tales
the
from
quiet
across
of
the
their
globe.
home, feeling the
Each story
magic of
reminds
Christmas
us that
settle around
kindness and
them,
connection
knowing that this
are
was
at
a
the
night
heart of the
Maple
season,
Street would remember
bringing us
for years
closer
to come.
together no matter where we
Fresh
are.
and new.
Stay tuned for more
Trumpets blare,
heartwarming tales, and may these stories
confetti
inspire you to spread love and warmth this
underneath
Christmas.
these winter skies. In the square, folks dance around, joining hands, the world unbound. Moments shared, hearts intertwined, embracing all the grand design. Count the stars and let them shine. Raise your glass, it's nearly time. In the air, love symphony, yours and mine. This jubilee. In the square, folks dance around, joining hands, the world unbound. Moments shared, hearts intertwined, embracing all the grand design. Count the stars and let them shine. Raise your glass, it's nearly time. In the air, love symphony, yours and mine. This jubilee.
Thank you for joining us for the Spirit of Christmas, heartwarming tales from across the globe. Each story reminds us that kindness and connection are at the heart of the season, bringing us closer together no matter where we are. Stay tuned for more heartwarming tales, and may these stories inspire you to spread love and warmth this Christmas.
The Christmas miracle of Maple Street. Maple Street was the kind of neighborhood that looked like it belonged on a holiday card. Every December, a fresh layer of snow would blanket the narrow rooftops and tree branches, softening the edges of every fence and street sign. The Christmas lights would start to go up early with strings of color draped along the eaves of houses, flickering warm against the cold winter air. Neighbors would greet each other with smiles and well wishes, and on some evenings a group of carolers could be heard, their voices filling the street with a familiar holiday cheer. But this year, things felt different. Emma Johnson noticed it the most. She had moved to Maple Street nearly 10 years ago with her husband, David, and their two small children, Abby and Max. Their family had grown up here, building countless memories with the other families that called Maple Street home. They celebrated birthdays, graduations, and every holiday in between, weaving their lives together into the close-knit fabric of the community. Yet this year, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something essential was missing. It was subtle at first. The holiday lights weren't quite as bright, the carolers seemed fewer in number, and the cheerful greetings that usually filled the air felt more hurried, as if people had a lot on their minds. Even on weekends, families rushed from one task to the next, shuttling kids to activities, running errands, preparing for holiday travels. The sense of warmth, of togetherness that had always defined Maple Street seemed to be slipping away. One evening in mid-December, Emma sat by the window in her living room, a steaming mug of hot cocoa warming her hands. Outside, snowflakes drifted down gently, coating the sidewalks in a soft, untouched blanket. She watched the lights on her neighbour's house across the street flicker through the falling snow, each bulb casting a dim, almost hesitant glow. Something just feels different, Emma murmured to herself. David looked up from his newspaper. He had noticed it too, the quieter-than-usual nights, the neighbours who barely stopped to chat anymore. But with the busyness of work and family, he hadn't thought much about it. "What do you think it is?" he asked, setting the paper aside. Emma shrugged, her eyes fixed on the scene outside. "I don't know, it just feels like everyone's so busy. We all used to take time to celebrate the season together, you know. Now it feels like we're all in our own little worlds." David leaned back, thoughtful. "I think you're right. We haven't really seen the Jenkins family much this month, have we? Or the Parkers." "Exactly. It's like we're all just rushing to get through it." Emma sighed, a wistful smile crossing her face as she thought back to years past. "Remember the Christmas potluck we did a few years ago? Everyone brought a dish, and we stayed up until midnight sharing stories." David chuckled. "Oh, yeah. And how Mrs. Harris brought her famous cranberry pie that everyone fought over." Emma laughed, the memory warming her. "Yes, and we were all packed into this living room like one big family. I miss that." They sat in silence for a moment, each one lost in their own memories of Maple Street's Christmases past. Emma felt a familiar spark begin to grow inside her, an idea that took shape as she watched the quiet, snow-covered street outside. "What if—" she began slowly, turning to David with a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. "What if we brought that spirit back this year? What if we invited everyone over for Christmas Eve? A simple gathering, nothing fancy, just a chance for everyone to reconnect." David's eyebrows lifted, a smile creeping onto his face. "You mean have the whole neighbourhood over here? Like a Christmas Eve potluck?" Emma nodded, the idea filling her with a sense of purpose. "Yes, we could ask everyone to bring a dish to share. We'll keep it casual, cozy. And maybe, just maybe, we'll bring back a little of that Maple Street magic." David grinned, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. "I think it's a wonderful idea, Em. Let's do it." Scene transition. The invitations. The next day, Emma sat at the kitchen table with a stack of handmade invitations, each one decorated with small snowflakes and a hand-drawn wreath. She wrote carefully, penning a short, heartfelt message to each family on Maple Street. "Join us for a Christmas Eve potluck at the Dymentionz. Bring a dish to share, and let's celebrate the season together as neighbours and friends." She folded each invitation and placed it into a small envelope, sealing it with a festive red sticker. With Abby and Max by her side, they bundled up in scarves, hats, and mittens, braving the cold as they delivered the invitations door to door. The kids giggled as they left invitations on doormats, sometimes catching a quick glimpse of a neighbour's surprised face peeking through a window. At each house, Emma felt her heart swell with hope. She imagined the warmth of her living room filled with laughter, the kitchen counters covered in dishes from each household, the shared stories, the joy of reconnecting. The spirit of Christmas, she thought, was not something that could be bought or scheduled. It was something that grew in the hearts of those who came together. By the end of the day, every family on Maple Street had received an invitation, and Emma returned home, her cheeks rosy from the cold and her heart full of anticipation. Preparing for the gathering. In the days leading up to Christmas Eve, the Johnsons busied themselves with preparations. Emma decorated the house with garlands and string lights, hanging ornaments that had been collected over the years, each one with its own story. Abby and Max helped by creating paper snowflakes to hang in the windows, while David set up a cosy seating area by the fireplace. The kitchen became a hub of activity as Emma began cooking, filling the air with the warm, inviting scent of cinnamon, cloves, and freshly baked cookies. She prepared her famous spiced apple cider, simmering on the stove and filling the house with its sweet, comforting aroma. She wanted everything to feel welcoming and familiar, like coming home. Christmas music played softly in the background, the old tunes mingling with the laughter and chatter of the family. They worked side by side, each of them sharing in the excitement and hope that the gathering would rekindle the spirit that had always made Maple Street feel like home. Christmas Eve, the guests arrive. As the sun set on Christmas Eve, a soft snow began to fall, blanketing Maple Street in a fresh layer of shimmering white. One by one, neighbours began to arrive, their breath visible in the crisp winter air as they walked up the Johnsons' front steps. Some carried dishes wrapped in foil, others clutched plates of cookies or small homemade gifts. The Jenkins family was the first to arrive, their 3 young children bundled up in puffy coats and colourful scarves. They handed Emma a tray of warm, gooey brownies and thanked her for the invitation. Behind them came the Parkers, the elderly couple who had lived on Maple Street the longest. They brought a dish of roasted vegetables, their cheeks flushed from the cold, but their eyes filled with gratitude. Inside, the house filled with laughter and conversation, the warmth of the gathering chasing away any lingering chill. Children played by the Christmas tree, their laughter mingling with the cheerful sounds of holiday music. In the living room, neighbours gathered in clusters, some catching up on old memories, others sharing their hopes for the year ahead. As Emma looked around, her heart swelled with joy. Here they all were, families, friends, neighbours, each one bringing a little piece of themselves, sharing in something that was greater than any one of them alone. This, she realised, was the true spirit of Christmas. Seen, new friendships, and old connections. As more guests filled the Johnsons' home, the air grew warm with laughter and the clinking of dishes. Emma moved through the crowd, greeting each family with a smile and a heartfelt "Merry Christmas." She marvelled at how many of them had come, some bringing not only dishes but small, thoughtful gifts. Homemade jams, knitted scarves, even little ornaments crafted by the children. In one corner of the room, Emma noticed Mrs. Harris chatting with the Parkers. The 2 families had lived on Maple Street for years, but had rarely taken the time to connect beyond a friendly wave. Tonight, however, they laughed like old friends, sharing stories of Christmases past and recalling how much the neighbourhood had changed over the years. "Do you remember the big snowstorm of '96? Mrs. Parker asked with a chuckle, her eyes crinkling with joy. "Oh, how could I forget?" Mrs. Harris replied. "We were all snowed in for days. My kids thought it was the best Christmas present they could have asked for. No school, just endless snowball fights and snowmen." The 2 women laughed, reminiscing about how the neighbourhood had come together during that storm, helping each other shovel driveways and sharing food when supplies ran low. Emma watched them with a smile, realising that tonight they were rediscovering the same sense of unity. In the dining area, David chatted with Mr. Thompson, a quiet, reserved man who had recently moved to Maple Street. David had never had the chance to speak with him much beyond a polite hello in passing. But tonight they found common ground over their shared love of woodworking. "You know, I actually build furniture in my free time," Mr. Thompson shared, his face lighting up as he spoke. "It's something I picked up from my grandfather." David's eyes widened in admiration. "Really? That's amazing. I have a workshop in my garage. Maybe you could come by sometime and we could work on a project together." Mr. Thompson nodded, visibly touched by the invitation. "I'd like that. It's been a while since I've had a friend to share that with." As David and Mr. Thompson continued their conversation, Emma felt a warmth in her heart, knowing that tonight was more than just a Christmas Eve gathering. It was a chance for people to see each other, to connect in ways they hadn't before. Scene: Children's Christmas surprise. Meanwhile, in the living room, Abby and Max gathered a group of children by the fireplace, excited to share a surprise they had prepared. Emma had helped them organise a small gift exchange, and the children had each brought a little something to give: a small toy, a handmade craft, a book they had loved and wanted to share. As each child unwrapped their gift, the room filled with delighted gasps and laughter. One little girl, Lily, received a tiny stuffed bear, worn from years of love but carefully cleaned and wrapped by its previous owner. "Oh, he's perfect," she exclaimed, hugging the bear tightly to her chest. The boy who had given it to her, shy but clearly pleased with her reaction, smiled and watched as she introduced the bear to her other toys. The exchange continued, with each child experiencing the joy of giving and receiving. They beamed with pride, realizing that their small gestures had made someone else's Christmas brighter. Emma and David watched from the doorway, moved by the simple beauty of it. Here, in the laughter of children and the spirit of generosity, was the essence of Christmas. Seen, a moment of reflection. As the evening wore on, Emma found herself standing by the window, looking out at the softly falling snow. The sight reminded her of that first Christmas Eve potluck years ago, when the neighborhood had gathered in the same spirit of joy and togetherness. Tonight felt like a return to those simpler, more heartfelt celebrations. Her reverie was interrupted by Mrs. Chen, a gentlewoman who had moved to Maple Street from overseas with her family a few years ago. Mrs. Chen was a quiet presence in the neighborhood, known for her beautiful garden and her kindness, though she rarely attended community events. Emma was pleasantly surprised to see her here tonight. "I wanted to thank you for organizing this gathering," Mrs. Chen said softly, her voice warm and sincere. "It's been a long time since we've celebrated Christmas like this." Emma smiled, touched by her words. "Thank you for coming. It means so much to have everyone here. I feel like tonight we've all remembered what makes this season so special." Mrs. Chen nodded, looking around the room at the families, friends and neighbours reconnecting. "Back home, we would have a big celebration every year with family and friends coming together from all over. Moving here was hard, and I've missed those gatherings. But tonight, this feels like home again." Emma felt a lump in her throat as Mrs. Chen's words sank in. In bringing everyone together, she had rekindled not only old friendships but also a sense of belonging for those who had once felt like outsiders. This was the Christmas miracle she had hoped for, the gift of connection, of making people feel like they belonged. Seen, the midnight toast. As the clock approached midnight, David gathered everyone in the living room for a final toast. The lights were dimmed, with only the warm glow of the Christmas tree illuminating the room. Each face was alight with joy, touched by the magic of the evening. David raised his glass, his voice filled with gratitude. "To all our friends and neighbours, thank you for being here tonight. This year, we're reminded that Christmas isn't just about lights, gifts, or even snow. It's about sharing this time with each other, about kindness, love, and the joy of being together." Everyone raised their glasses, the room echoing with a chorus of "Merry Christmas!" As they sipped their drinks, there was a sense of quiet wonder, as if each person understood that they had shared in something truly special. Emma looked around the room, taking in the smiles, the laughter, the lingering conversations. For the first time in a long while, Maple Street felt like home again, alive with the spirit of Christmas. Ending scene, closing the night. As the night drew to a close, families bundled up and said their goodbyes, stepping out into the quiet snowfall. Neighbours who had once been strangers hugged, promising to stay in touch, to keep the spirit of togetherness alive long after Christmas had passed. Emma and David stood by the doorway watching as their guests disappeared down the street, their laughter lingering in the air. Abby and Max, exhausted but happy, climbed the stairs to bed, their hearts full from the joy of the evening. As Emma closed the door and turned off the last of the Christmas lights, she felt a warmth unlike any other. Tonight, she had seen the true spirit of Christmas, not in the decorations, the gifts, or even the food, but in the love and connection they had shared. "Thank you, David," she whispered, resting her head on his shoulder. "This was more than I could have ever hoped for." David smiled, wrapping an arm around her. "Merry Christmas, Em. I think tonight we all found our way home." And with that, they stood in the quiet of their home, feeling the magic of Christmas settle around them, knowing that this was a night Maple Street would remember for years to come.
Thank you for joining us for the Spirit of Christmas. heartwarming tales from across the globe. Each story reminds us that kindness and connection are at the heart of the season, bringing us closer together no matter where we are. Stay tuned for more heartwarming tales, and may these stories inspire you to spread love and warmth this Christmas.
Snowflakes fall, the night is bright. Children playing pure delight. Candles glowing warm and mild. Every face reflects a smile. Bells on high, a joyful ring. Choirs of angels softly sing. Stars above, they shimmer gleam. Magic true in every dream. Gifts wrapped up beneath the tree. Hearts unwrapped with love so free. Fireplace embers softly glow. Feel the warmth as spirits grow. Bells on high, a joyful ring. Choirs of angels softly sing. Stars above, they shimmer gleam. Magic true in every dream. Silent night holds silent wishes. Kisses sweet and tender swishes underneath the mistletoe. Time moves gently, let it flow. Bells on high, a joyful ring. Choirs of angels softly sing. Stars above, they shimmer gleam. Magic true in every dream.
Snowflakes fall like whispered dreams.
spring. Snowflakes fall, the night is bright. Children playing pure delight. Candles glowing warm and mild. Every face reflects a smile. Bells on high, a joyful ring. Choirs of angels softly sing. Stars above, they shimmer, gleam. Magic true.